Alright, y'all, going on my first group ride. We're all mixed. You got a ZX-10R, a Cruiser, ZX4RR, FZ09. That Yoshimura is popping, boy. Sounds good. I love it. Sounds mean.
What up, everybody? It's me again. Alright, today we're gonna be going over the 3K or 3,000 mile review for this motorcycle. 2024 Ninja 650 KRT edition. I've had this bike since August of 2024. I put on about 3,200 miles on it already. So today I'm gonna do a review and what I think about the bike, pros and cons about the bike. Alright, so let's start with the cons. So number one, the top end power of this bike. The top end power of this bike is, I don't know, from 8,500 to 10,000 RPM. You start the power, just start, fading, going away. And obviously when you hit 10,000 RPM, it just start having a fuel cutoff and start bogging down. So I guess if you want to get more power on that higher range RPM, you gotta flash your ECU. But it's okay for me, not a big deal breaker, because I don't live in that 120 miles an hour ride all the time anyway, so it's fine with me. Second one would be the exhaust system for this bike. So after buying the bike, I found out that there are no slip-on available for this bike. There's no slip-on exhaust available for this bike. You gotta buy the full system, which could cost nearly $1,000, and I guess depending what brand you want to buy, it could get up to about $1,200 or even more. So that's kind of disappointing. I guess you could cut it up, cut the stock exhaust out and weld a slip-on exhaust on there, but I didn't want to go that route. It just feels like I'm half-assing the job, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to do that. And exhausts are pretty freaking expensive with these bikes, for all the bikes. So that was kind of like one of the disappointments I have on this in this motorcycle, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably not the only one thinking that way also. Number three, the fairings on this bike. The fairings on this bike, they rattle. So I had to put rubber grommets in between the fairings, so that way they're not rattling against each other sometimes, because I can still hear it even if it's so loud in my helmet with the wind and everything. I can still hear the rattles. And also, I guess that also a factor of the screws getting loose all the time after a long distance trip. The screws would get so loose that it would be just hanging. I've caught at least 2 of the screws already. They were just hanging by a thread, maybe a few threads in, they're that loose. So good thing I seen it and from that point on, I started checking all those screws, Allen keys or Allen screws. I started checking them after trips or every time I ride. When I get home, I always check them now. The fourth one would be the handlebar vibration. The handlebar vibration on this bike was crazy when I first got it. 30 to 45 minutes into the ride, my hand will start getting numb. I bought a wrap for mountain bike handlebars to get them, this like the mountain bikers use to get a better grip, and it's waterproof. It's been tested outdoors and all that. So I bought that. So it's kind of like foamy. It's like foam, but it's like rubber. So it's very soft and it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. So I wrapped it on the handlebars, and that basically absorbed at least, I would say, 60 to 70% of the vibration. So now no complaints on the vibration on the handlebars. Pretty good with it now. No issues there. Number 5 would be the cruise control, the famous cruise control. I wish they would have installed a cruise control system for this bike. I knew prior to buying the bike that it didn't have cruise control, and I told myself I don't really need cruise control, because it's probably be boring if I'm not controlling the throttle at all times. But with longer rides, I kind of started finding myself needing a cruise control. I know the ZX-10R, they do have cruise control, and other models of the Kawasaki Ninjas, they do have cruise control. So I wonder why they didn't put it on the Ninja 650. Maybe it costs a lot more money, I don't know, but it would have been nice to have. The sixth one is the tires. The factory tires, they wear out pretty fast actually. I'm at 3,200 miles and I've probably spent 40% of that tire. So I probably have about 6,000, I'd say 4,000 miles left on the tires, and I would have to buy a new one. So if you have any suggestion of better tires that could last a little bit longer, please do drop them down in the comments. I can start checking that out, so that way I can start looking in the future and maybe ordering those tires for it. Any suggestion is appreciated. Those are basically the only gripes and complaints that I have for this bike. Let's moving on to the pros. So for the pros, the torque for this bike is amazing. I love the low end and mid-range torque for it, especially in the cities. I mean, even in the highway, I think it has enough torque. In the cities though, whenever I need to overtake, I need to avoid something, one twist of that throttle, that torque is like waiting for you to twist that throttle. It's like, hey, I'm right here whenever you need me, just twist the throttle and I'll be right there. So the torque is readily available at any time. That's what I love about that bike, about this bike. I mean, the bike feels planted on the ground when I'm riding it. That's just my experience though. I'm about 5'5", I can flat foot the bike. It's easy for me to maneuver, to balance. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. For me, it's just right. That's just speaking from my own experience though. I'm not sure if you're taller or shorter than I mean, I'm already 5'5". I mean, if you're shorter than me, you're probably tippy-toeing, and I don't like that feeling. So I'm kind of lucky that with my height, I can almost flat foot the bike. The ergonomics of the bike is one of the pros that I would like to talk about also. I'm so relaxed when I'm sitting on the bike. I'm a little bit hunched over because a little bit shorter and my arms are a little bit shorter, so I kind of have to lean a little bit forward, just a little bit, compared to the taller guys with longer arms, which they can sit upright the whole time. I wish that would be the case for me, but a little bit leaned over in the front or leaned forward, it doesn't really bother me that much. It's not that bad compared to like a 600 or 750 or 1,000. I've ridden a 750 before, and basically I'm putting my weight on my wrist the whole time. 30 minutes into the ride, I asked to swap back to my motorcycle because my back was starting to feel sore and then my wrist was starting to hurt. Maybe I'm not used to the bike the way how I'm positioned while I'm riding it, so I wasn't comfortable with it. I just felt like I don't know, exerting too much effort just riding the bike, leaning forward that much and putting my weight on my wrist. So the ergonomics of the Ninja 650 is just right for me. For the type of riding that I'm doing, at least, it's just perfect for me. Gas is another one. The gas mileage on this bike is freaking amazing. Alright, I can ride from Barstow to Summerlin in one full tank and don't even have to stop to get gas. I ride 187 miles and I still have 2 tick marks left, and that's going 85 to 90 miles an hour constantly on the highway. So that is saying a lot. With this group ride that we did, the guy in the front does a ZX-10R. He put gas before we left. We traveled about 50 miles and he spent like almost half a tank when we got to our destination. So he had to put gas on the way back again. That's just nuts. But then again, it's a super sports bike, so it's gonna need more fuel to back up that power. So I kind of understand. But compared to my bike, I barely lost any tick marks on my fuel gauge when we got to our destination. So I still had full tank by the time we got there. So that's saying a lot when it comes to like saving gas and saving money essentially. Number 5. Even though it's not a super sport bike, it has the look. I like the aggressive look on it. I like how the aerodynamic design for the bike, it looks aggressive to me. I mean, it's subjective because it's my own opinion, so everybody else could have a different opinion than me. So I'm just basically telling you guys what I think about the bike. Insurance on the bike is much lower compared to the 600 and all the super sports bikes. I guess reading more into the insurance and watching some explanation why the motorcycles have high insurance rates, it's not okay. How do I explain this? So it's not necessarily because of the bike, but because of the accidents data and what type of bikes was involved in those accidents. So for example, a 600 has a high data of accidents in the database. Of course, the insurance company would up the insurance ratings for that bike. And so the 650, they don't have that much data of any accidents, not as much as the 600s or the other bikes. So the insurance rate for these bikes are not as high compared to the other motorcycles. So that's how I understood the reason why the insurance is not as bad compared to other motorcycles. It's all about the accident data and what bike was involved in that accident data. That's how they determine. That's how they determine the rate of your insurance payment. If you haven't done so, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you all for your support. Until next time.